Professor David Williams, social scientist at Harvard University, recently commented on the socioeconomic inequities being magnified by the current pandemic, saying, "We are all in the same storm. We are not all in the same boat." Professor Williams' eloquent statement is profound and far-reaching, and applies to many spiritual realities as well. Like many spiritual truths, these can seem upside down and counterintuitive. It would seem logical that people in especially challenging socioeconomic conditions would find it more difficult to follow strict moral and ethical paths, much less find time to spend on spiritual practices, while people who are blessed with riches would find it much easier. However, the opposite seems to be the case, and always has been. Yeshua said that it would be easier for a pack animal to go through a narrow gate without removing its cargo than for a rich man to enter the kingdom. Following the way may seem like a philosophy and belief system that works great if you have enough to eat, if you have shelter and health. But how does it work for people without all that? How can a person believe that the natural flow of things occurs in cycles, while depression is removing all hope that things will ever change? It is one thing to talk about our beliefs when sailing a calm sea, and another thing altogether in a raging storm. Lao Tzu focused on improving his own mind, on being satisfied with what he did have, and on keeping his balance without going against his beliefs. He learned that simplicity, patience, and compassion were his greatest treasures. It is important to remember that Lao Tzu also said, "The best fighter is not angry." This means anger about the unfairness of our situation or the actions of other people will only distort our thinking, when this energy is best used for taking positive action. Gautama taught that wise leaders would provide wealth to the needy to prevent them from having to resort to desperate behaviors. He also taught that while wealth was not evil, it leads to greed coming from fear of loss. He taught that if everyone lived moderately, there would always be enough to go around. We read in Proverbs, "Whoever oppresses the poor shows contempt for their Creator, but whoever is kind to the needy honors God." Gautama and Yeshua agree that we should not wait to give to the poor until we ourselves have more than enough. Gautama said to give even when we have only a little. Yeshua pointed out that a woman who quietly gave her last penny was giving a greater gift than the wealthy people who were making a big show of handing out gold coins. In lessons that I have never forgotten, my personal experience in times of both material and emotional poverty was that it was the people around me even worse off who were quickest to give generously and without hesitation. Everyone, both rich and poor, is fighting a hard fight in the struggle of simply being a mortal human in a fallen world, a stormy world no longer functioning according to its original intent and design, because humans no longer operate according to our original purpose, having chosen to lean on our own understanding of the natural world. Our knowledge has grown prodigiously, and with it, reliance on our ability to respond to any storm. We have come to believe that the temporal material reality is all there is, forgetting that knowledge is not understanding. Paul pointed out that knowledge puffeth up, but love edifies. Even if we gain all knowledge, he said, and solve all mysteries and gain powers, if we have not love, we have gained nothing. This means that human knowledge has made us arrogant, but love can bring us back to understanding. When Albert Schweitzer, who had several doctorates, including an MD, was building his hospital with his own hands, he approached a man for a little assistance with some manual labor. Inflated with his own intellectual achievements, he replied curtly to the great Schweitzer, "I don't do that kind of work. I am an intellectual." That man was wealthy in talents and abilities, but his pride separated him from the needs of others, cutting him off from the very source he would inevitably seek someday through other people. Like King Midas, he would find that when hungry, he could not eat his gold. Just as people have different material assets, they also have different spiritual strengths. Some are in spiritual poverty and poor in spirit, broken-hearted, lonely, and without hope. We may feel the same sometimes, and the best way up and out is to share out of our own lack. In the spiritual economy of the kingdom, giving our last penny of encouragement always results in it coming back to us, multiplied many times over. In the story of the apostles desperately fighting a terrible storm, Yeshua is in their boat with them, but sleeping. Only when their fear and despair become unbearable do they call upon their Lord, who calms the waves with a command of, "Peace, be still." It does not seem logical that men who professed belief in Yeshua would think that the boat could sink with him on board. The apostles were judging according to nature and their professional knowledge of boats and the sea. In leaning to their own understanding, they left God out of their equation. We are diverse people in various circumstances, all in the same storm, yet in very different boats, built from poverty or abundance, according to our means and spiritual strengths. But one thing is always the same, yesterday, today, and forever. The Lord is always with us, waiting to be called upon, and bringing peace along the way.